What if all the ice melted? If one day, every piece of ice on Earth began to melt? No more frozen poles. No more glittering white Antarctica. Only endless oceans rising higher and higher, swallowing everything humanity has ever built. Can you imagine that? A world where the familiar map of Earth is drawn all over again. It starts quietly. At first, the sound of cracking ice echoes through the poles. Massive glaciers drift apart, colliding like slow, ancient giants. On top of Greenland, layers of ice older than civilization itself begin to melt into rushing rivers, pouring relentlessly into the sea. In Antarctica, great walls of ice collapse like glass, crumbling into the ocean with thunderous roars. Every drop adds to the rising tide. The more the ice melts, the more heat the planet absorbs, and the faster the melting becomes. A chain reaction that nothing can stop. Sea levels begin to rise. A few centimeters each year, then meters, then tens of meters. If all the ice vanished, the oceans would climb over 65 meters higher than today. That's enough to drown nearly every coastal city we know. New York, London, Tokyo, Shanghai, Sydney, all gone beneath the waves. The Mekong Delta, the Nile Delta, the Ganges Plains, and hundreds of millions of acres of farmland lost beneath the ocean. Where skyscrapers once touched the clouds, fish now swim through the ruins. The world's greatest cities become silent, sleeping under blue water. But the sea keeps rising, and with it, the temperature of the planet. Without ice, there is no mirror to reflect sunlight. The Earth absorbs more heat, and the balance begins to break. Deserts spread like fire. Forests burn to ash. Storms grow violent and unpredictable. Winds shift. Rain falls in places that were once dry for centuries. And where rain once fed life, now there is nothing but dust. Ocean currents begin to change direction. The Gulf Stream, the warm current that keeps Europe alive, starts to slow, then stops. Winters return to Europe with the fury of the Ice Age, while the equator burns under a merciless sun. The poles are no longer white. They are blue, endless and open, and life begins to fade away. As the fresh water from melting ice floods the oceans, the salt balance changes. Coral reefs die. Whales and sharks lose their feeding grounds. Countless species vanish. On land, polar bears, seals, and penguins lose their homes. They drift on melting ice until the ocean swallows them. The Arctic becomes a sea. Antarctica turns green, covered not in snow but grass, moss, and rain. The old world ends quietly, and a new one begins. Harsher, emptier, and far less forgiving. Humanity watches as coastlines disappear. More than 1 billion people lose their homes. Nations vanish overnight. Bangladesh, the Netherlands, Vietnam, Indonesia, all gone beneath the ocean. Mass migration begins on a scale the world has never seen. People flee inland, searching for safety. But there is no safety on only higher ground. Wars break out over food and water. Electric grids fail. Economies crumble. Cities are abandoned, and humanity faces the truth. We are not the masters of Earth. We are just its guests. Decades pass, then centuries. And slowly the world begins to change again. The Himalayas become islands rising from a vast inland sea. Australia shrinks to half its size. South America bends and reshapes under the weight of new oceans. The Amazon rainforest becomes a shallow bay. The Arctic Ocean turns into a warm, fertile sea, home to creatures that never existed before. Evolution starts over, life adapts, and from the chaos, a strange new balance is born. High on mountain plateaus, small human communities survive. They build domed shelters against storms, grow food in controlled air, and study the sky that once burned them. Their cities are smaller now, but wiser, powered by wind, sun, and what little hope remains. Civilization endures, but it no longer rules. Because ice was never just frozen water, it was the memory of Earth, a record of ancient air, a balance that kept our world alive. When we lose the ice, we lose the rhythm of the planet. The heartbeat of nature slows, and what rises in its place is something unfamiliar, something we might not survive. The melting cannot be undone, but we can still decide how fast it happens. Every breath, every choice, every drop of water we waste or protect matters more than ever before. If all the ice melts, Earth will still spin, the tides will still move, and the stars will still shine. But the world beneath them, our home, will never be the same again. Suppose world. Imagine today to understand tomorrow.